There is a very sad story that I recall to memory, a sad story from many years back, not so many years back. But the story is the story of a young man who was quite ambitious. And this young man was in high school. And this young man had the ambitions of dating a girl at the university where we were in college. So I remember those were the days the mobile phones were just coming in, the smartphones were just beginning, they were beginning to come into the market, and they were quite expensive. In fact, it was very difficult to get hold onto one as a university student. The reason being, your money would not, of course, be enough to furnish that kind of expense. However, there was this young man who was quite ambitious, and this young man was not in college with us. This young man was a high school student. We had in college we had very many things going on, but this one is one I can never forget. The reason why I cannot forget this story, because it was a tragic story. Now, one evening, in our men's hostel, we heard a scream, and the scream was a sharp shriek from a lady, from the ladies' hostel. Immediately, there was a reaction. Young men, boys, you can call them, and all of us gathered where the scream was coming from. And the girl who was screaming was one of the university students. And when she was interrogated why she was screaming, she said that some stranger had tried to steal her phone, and he had escaped in a direction she pointed to. And immediately the young men, the ladies were furious. Everyone was furious that there was such a young man that could dare come to within the compound of the university to steal. It was quite daring for him, and they had to find him and teach him a lesson. It was quickly decided by the mob that had gathered and was angry then that they should get that young man wherever, fish him out from wherever he was hiding, and teach him a lesson. So some of us observed as things were going on, because the mob of students was quite irate. They immediately dispatched in impromptu search parties around the university. Some went in the east, some went in the north, some went in the south, and some went to the west. And there was a stream that flowed before thickets in the university compound, a little forest. So some went there, and it is from there that we heard people shouting that they had seen some clothes moving within the forest or the thicket, and therefore they called for reinforcements. Reinforcements arrived immediately, and they hunted down the young boy, and eventually he tried his tricks within the thickets, but the young men did not relent until they arrested him. So they arrested him and marched the young man to the student center. It was just in the evening, around 7 p.m. when this was happening. The girl was still telling her story, how this young man had just appeared from nowhere and asked for her phone. In short, she was accusing the young boy of being a thief one who had come to mug her or rob from her in daylight. It really irritated the mob of the university students, because it was in that season that a number of our comrades had been robbed around the university. Some even some ladies had even been raped in their hostels. And for some young boy to come around with such daring do activities of stealing, it was a finger in our faces as the university students. So it irritated the mob, and they were worked up baying for the boy's blood. And so when it was heard that the boy had been nabbed and was being marched to the student center, the mob grew bigger, and the boy was finally brought to the student center, where a kangaroo court was set in place to try him. And they tried him in the fashion of a gorilla court of law. There was no defense. It was simply interrogation that took a very few minutes, and the jury was clear. The jury of the mob was clear that he was guilty of robbery with violence, and therefore, as they say, whoever kills by the sword dies by the sword. So the jury made a decision that the boy had to be disciplined. And in such a situation, the mob is irate, everyone is angry, emotions are running wild. People are remembering some of their friends that have been robbed. People are remembering some of their friends that have been raped. And it became chaotic. The student center was buzzing with emotions of anger, and people were shouting that boy should be disciplined. So as a few were contemplating, the ones that are quick with their hands started working on the young boy. He was slapped here, he was pinched there, he was hit here with a blunt tool, he was hit here. So the climax is very graphic. I can only say when the police arrived to pick his body, he was actually some shadow of what he had been, and blood was bespattered all over the student center, and his face was twisted, contorted, and unidentifiable, and he was carried away, cold dead at the back of a police Land Cruiser pickup. And the comrades dispersed, feeling justice had been dispensed, and the chilling story went around the town, the university town. What saddens most is that the real story finally came out later. And this is the real story. The real story is that the lady, an engineering student at that time, had been approached by this young man, a high school student, and he had proposed to her that he was interested in having a relationship with her. And the young lady had listened to the young boy, and the young boy had given her money, and he had bought her a phone. And she had accepted these gifts, she had accepted the money, and the boy in his teenagehood and his puberty believed he had a girl at the university, because that was quite a conquest for him. And so he continued to push his luck, buying gifts to the girl, and the girl apparently was not ready to see him, but was accepting his gifts. So the boy, feeling that he was being cheated out of his sacrifices, And the sacrifices included him failing to pay his fees as given to him by his father, who later came to corroborate that story that he had given him fees and the boy had not paid. The boy felt all those sacrifices were not being honored by the lady, and that's why that evening the boy had left home to come and get his due from the girl. And unfortunately, when they began to speak about the issue, the girl screamed, and the boy, panicking, ran away. And the story turned around that the boy was a thief, according to the girl. And that's how the boy's life was snuffed out of him by the mob because of a lie. I don't know if it was because of a lie, or because of over-ambition, or because of the selfishness of the lady. I don't know which one killed the boy. That's up to you. You can decide what killed that boy. Is it the lie? Is it his over-ambition? Or is it the irate foolishness of the mob? Mob justice, as they call it, is indeed not justice. This has been Beyond Faces. My name is Moses Abukutsa. Like, share, and subscribe. Make a comment about that justice system called mob justice. Is it a fair system of justice according to this story? What do you think? A sad story. Quite a sad story.